Hey guys, Dr. Alex here, the Punch Doctor, and today I want to talk about maximizing your impact, weight transfer, and follow through. I see some guys on YouTube making impact while maintaining almost a permanent rear bias with their stance. They're not just fighting off their back foot, they're there like all the time. And this can cause a few problems I'm going to talk about as far as landing with power and really limiting your options in other respects as well. And I'm going to rebuild the solutions from the ground up and give you some different ways to think about your body and different possibilities that you can use with your movement. Now, the first problem that having a permanent rear bias causes is an inability to transfer your weight. Now, when you transfer your weight, you want to go from back foot to front foot. And this allows you to land with a lot more power. You want to shift your weight from back to front and have a little bit of an aggressive body posture when you do that, which I'll get into in a moment. Additionally, when you're almost permanently on your back foot, you're going to have a limited number of options that you can use at your disposal. If you watch pros, most of them have a lot more neutral stance. They're able to fight off their back foot, and they're able to shift their weight and become more aggressive when the situation calls for it. Additionally, with a more neutral position, they're going to be able to bait, they're going to be able to counter more effectively. They're going to be able to be in and out of the opponent's bubble, of the opponent's reach, and it's just going to give you a lot more options that you can work with. Now, second, maintaining a permanent rear bias is going to give you poor recoil management, or maybe cause you to bounce off of your target or the bag. I don't know if you've ever been to the gym and seen this happen, but you'll see sometimes people punch the bag and push themselves away, right? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. If you've ever been to the range to shoot guns, you know that you want to have a more aggressive posture to really drive the gun and manage your recoil. You want to have like a forward lean in your body, tight abs. You want to be supporting your body with your rear leg and really drive the gun to have faster follow-up shots and to manage recoil, whether it's a pistol or a long gun. Now, same with hitting the bag. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. When you're putting power into the bag, it's just like shooting guns, right? There's going to be a force pushing you backwards, and you want to be able to manage your power to put it into and through your opponent. So I show some guys on my channel really have an aggressive posture when they're throwing a right hand, for example. And I get some comments saying that you shouldn't be putting your head over your knee. And I totally get that. Now, when you see these guys doing that, usually their opponent is hurt, they've set up the punch with a feint or a jab. Maybe they just know that their opponent is not in a great position to respond, or maybe their opponent is hurt and moving backwards, and they're able to do that because they don't have to worry about getting countered. You have to be very conscious of timing and the situation where you're using some of these techniques to make sure it's the appropriate time to do it. And there's always going to be risk involved with overextending or reaching a bit. Now, that being said, you don't have to commit so fully, right? Even if you're taking a bit more of an aggressive stance by an inch or so, it's going to really benefit your ability to manage the power you're putting into your target. You don't have to be all the way forward, right? Even if you're a little bit more aggressive, like an inch, you'll be able to really manage the force you're putting in the bag without it pushing you backwards. And you've also probably heard push versus plant, right? You want to push off that back leg, or do you want to plant it? Well, you can really do both. And you want to do both because remember, I talk about the 4 punch phases, and they're load, explode, accelerate, and follow through. So what you want to do is push your hips into rotation and allow that back leg to really stay planted to offer you stability and to give you a good weight transfer at impact. So you can push and plant. It doesn't have to be either or. It can be both. So after you load and explode, that leg needs to be behind you as you push off and during the acceleration phase, when you make impact. Now, you've probably seen some guys lift their foot, right, as they move forward with their weight. Now, they've already pushed off, and that weight is going forward, and they know that the weight they're putting into their target is more than the resistance their target is going to offer them. So, for example, I weigh 220. My bag is 100 pounds. I know that when I'm moving forward, my weight and the power I've generated is more than the resistance the bag is going to offer. And that just comes with feel. Now, one thing you can do as far as an exercise to sort of get an idea about maintaining the stable position and the slight more aggressive posture to back up your punch, to allow the weight transfer, and to prevent any sort of recoil is the weight control exercise. Now, find the heaviest bag in the gym, or if you have a heavy bag at home, I want you to get it moving with your hand, and then just slow it down as it comes towards you with your arm, and then push it away. You should feel, just like when you're managing recoil with a firearm, you're going to feel some tension develop in your torso, you're going to feel some tension develop in your leg. So when you catch that bag, all those tissues are being compressed, and you should be able to feel them tense up. And it's not exactly the position you're going to be in when you land. However, it'll give you a little bit of a better idea about what it feels like to support the weight that you're putting into your target. So that's the weight control exercise. Next, I want to talk about the 3-vector landing and landing with shearing force. Now, you'll see guys when they're in their permanent, rear biased stance, even if they get phases 1 and 2 correctly, their phase 3, the acceleration phase, is still almost like a straight line. Now, we're not just moving our arm in a straight line, right? There's 3 vectors of movement that your arm should follow. A back to front, a rotational component, and then a shearing force component, where you move your arm down or towards your body. Now, what that does is going to offer you a tremendous amount of more stability at impact. And remember, we're trying to transfer our weight into and through the opponent. And you can try this at home. I want you to just push your arm forward into the bag and hold it there. Now, I want you to put some downward force on the bag as well. And you'll feel a lot more muscles become engaged. You can try this a little bit more significantly just with a stick. So put your arm on a stick and then push it down. You're going to feel your lats contract. You're going to feel your abs contract. You're going to feel your pec contract more. You add all those muscles to the back and forward movement that stimulates or recruits your serratus anterior, and you have a whole bunch of muscles that are tensing at the moment of impact to support your weight going forward. All right, so the 3-vector landing. Back to front, rotational as part of the unwinding of the shoulder, and downward for shearing force. Now, lastly, fighting out of a permanent rear bias reduces your leverage and your ability to really utilize the stretch shortening cycle to its fullest potential. You'll see guys, even if they get phase 1 and phase 2 correctly, fighting off the back foot like in a permanent position, they can get the first 2 phases right, but then the last phase, they're not really taking advantage of all the stretch shortening cycles. You need a little bit of room when you rotate the hips and stretch those chains for all of those to contract the most effective way possible. And you'll see some fighters, if they're getting smothered and they want to land with a bigger shot, they'll just take a step back and maybe use that step as the load phase to then explode from powering their hips and, of course, their crossbody chains into acceleration to land the punch. And you need a little bit more room in order to really maximize the ability for you to land with speed and maximum velocity at impact. Additionally, you can go up to a bag and push on it while you're real close. Now, just take a step back, and it should feel a lot more stable, especially as you push down with your fist, creating shearing force. So you need a little bit of room in order to really allow the acceleration to take place for maximum velocity. Sometimes you want to be on your back foot, right? To fight defensively. However, you want the option also to fight neutral or even a little bit more aggressively, just to give you more options as far as what you can do. Now to summarize, fighting in a rear bias position or always fighting off your back foot, it limits your ability to transfer your weight and land with power. It gives you poor recoil management, potentially causing you to be maybe off balance and just not able to put all of your weight into and through the bag with a more aggressive body posture. And lastly, it reduces your leverage and your ability to get the most out of phase 3, the acceleration phase, in the punch cycle. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're interested in this kind of stuff and this material resonates with you, I have a great program you should check out. It's called the Power Punching Blueprint. It's an A to Z program that really rebuilds and retrains your movement patterns to use the stretch shortening cycle, to use your kinetic chains, and to use the 4 phases of the punch to really maximize your punching power and reach your peak potential in the sport. Check that out today at howtopunchharder.com. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.